So as an organisation, as I said, we run these global awards. We've been doing that since 2012, and over the years we've had more than 4,000 amazing purpose-driven projects sent our way from over 70 nationalities. And what's really interesting is that a massive majority of those projects coming our way have been around mental health and anxiety. And so we know that this is really important, and that's why we wanted to do this particular talk today, was to sort of try and inspire you to see what you can do with your talent around a kind of very serious issue. So I wanted to show you a bit of proof, and this animation was done by Jess a good couple of years ago now. I'll just run the animation. It was about depression, and you'll see there's only a tiny section of it. A lot of these projects are on our website if you feel like you want to dig a bit deeper, but I'll run the project and then I'll chat to you with what happened to Jess afterwards. So Jess did this project, like I said, a couple of years ago now. I can't quite remember. But like so many people that take part in what we do, it had come from her own personal experience of suffering from depression. And she sent us the project, and because of that, she actually got some work through people in our community. She then, we asked her to do this little GIF actually for us, which I think we've used quite a lot, which is a really lovely idea that if you can use your creativity and get it down on paper in some way, or create something, it actually eases the stress in your head. And she came to an event that we did at the Design Museum, which was all about mental health and creativity. And being at that event, she was one of the panelists, because we had lots of young people on stage. It wasn't just people like me talking. She then got this commission from Ben, who's in the advertising industry, and he was doing a film at the time on men's mental health. So I'll run this little project that she got commissioned to do.
5 ways to be mentally fit. How do you look after your mental fitness? Well, apparently there are 5 things we can do to make us happier. Number 1, connect. Make time for your mates. Have a beer, have a laugh, have a moan. Ask your mates how they are. Tell the truth when they ask you. Remember, they love you. That's why they're your mates. Number 2, get moving. Being active isn't just good for your body, it's good for your brain as well. Walk more. Walk at lunchtimes. Run. Play football again. Join the gym. Take up a new sport. Find the time. You have to come first. Number 3, be present. Press pause. Get off your phone. Get outside. Breathe. Take notice of the real world, of you, of the day, of fresh air and silence. Some call it mindfulness, but if that scares you, just call it time out. So take it. Number 4, learn again. What was the last thing you learned? We need to keep learning, or we become stale, boring, bored. So do something new. Learn to cook, learn to build, make something. Use the parts of your brain that don't get used. Number 5, give something. Giving is rewarding. A smile, a thank you, a kind word or act. Helping others is proven to make us happy. So volunteer, coach, fundraise. It will make you richer. If you want to be mentally strong, you need to get mentally fit. So take responsibility for your own life. Your family will thank you for it.
So that, for me, what's really interesting is what that piece of communication does is just sort of verify the things that I currently do anyway in my daily rituals. So, yeah, great. So because she created something against an issue in her life, Jess's kind of career path, and she now has a job where she was an illustrator, but she works in-house for an organisation. She does all their kind of social media, and she creates animations and things. And it all came because she did something that mattered to her around her mental health, and then sent her project our way. So this is actually a piece of product design. I'm actually not going to run the music because it's quite loud, but Sara created this, and you think, oh well, how can I as a product designer build something that's going to make a difference? But it really did. It's also a piece of service design. She got her work published, as you'll see, in Dezeen. She then exhibited her work at a big exhibition here in London that was all about mindfulness and stuff. So again, it was a system really, but a really lovely piece of product design that was all around mental health. This project I'm going to show you because basically Chyna, who did it, she was quite young. I think she was only 17 or 18. She was doing a course at Barnet and Southgate College, and she created this project with her mates about self-esteem, and because of wanting to change her own mental health and those of young girls around her. And she just did it on her phone pretty much. And I'll run the film, but she also had a lot of fun.
Back to me, for me. Your hurtful, humiliating, hideous words has made me who I am today. Strong, skinny, fat, ugly. You made me think I'm less as a person, imperfect. Scrolling through the magical vortex among my fingertips and seeing big socialites with their perfect bodies, I began to think, why am I not perfect? I'm imperfect. 1. 2. But throughout all the dark times of pain and suffering was a source of creativity. 3. Breathe. Acceptance and guidance was what I needed. I'm imperfectly imperfect, naked with my thoughts, emotions and skin. But being immersed in such a beautiful crowd, I learnt to love me for me, but mostly my imperfect imperfections. Stretch marks, slim, curvy. We're all like sunsets. The more we change, the more beautiful we become. Love yourself and love your body, because you are imperfectly imperfect.
So really nice, sort of simple project, which Chyna did on her own with some of her mates. So we can all create stuff quite easily, I think, now because of smartphones. So against any issue that is annoying us in any one moment. This was an illustration project, again about mindfulness. It was a really beautiful little simple booklet that was about how we can use body scanning to create change. Catherine had suffered from mental health issues herself, so again she used her talent and what she'd learned through her journey to illustrate that, and then she created this booklet, and then we did some coaching together and she published it, which is also really a nice thing. If you're into graphics or typography, this project was done by Ashley, and it was all about, he actually did it for Mind, which is a mental health charity, but he used typography and a system to illustrate that we need to make mental health visible. And it's just another example of how you might go, well, how can I use typography to talk about mental health? Well, there's an example of it. So I kind of think that anything's possible, especially if it's something that you care about. It can kind of make it a really powerful subject matter. Rosa also, who we've worked with quite a lot, she's one of our ambassadors actually, our Creative Conscience ambassadors. She also suffered with mental health issues. She was at Ravensbourne, and she created an event about what was going on. So she invited her community to take part in an event at college, which was an incredibly brave thing, and got them to exhibit work around mental health and talk about it. And it's, again, doing that project has absolutely transformed her life in a really positive way. If any of you are interested in kind of tech or, again, service design, Christian created this project, which was, again, a virtual it was an app that was all about creating spaces, a really lovely piece of work. And again, he came down to London and took part in another event that we did just this year in February at the Design Museum as part of a Changemakers conference that we did. And it was just amazing to see him, on stage talking about his project and being able to, say why he did it and the process of that, and in order to inspire other people. I'm just going to run a really short film about the very first event that we put on at the Design Museum. It's only a couple of minutes, but I hope it inspires you in some way.
Creative Conscience partnered up with the Design Museum in London to hold the first Design Changemakers event on mental health. The purpose of the event was to inspire and engage the next generation of creative thinkers. We showed them what is possible and how we can positively create and build impact around the challenges of mental health. Industry experts and creative graduates shared their game-changing projects. We gathered data to prove the event had impact. We overwhelmingly shifted the audience's perspective on mental health and how we as creative thinkers can positively change our world.
Anxiety, depression.
And there's always someone you can talk to.
Get involved. Join our global movement, creativeconscience.org.uk.
So, as I said, that we've done actually now 3 of these mental health events. All of them have been really, really successful. And so, if anything in this talk sort of sits well with you and you want more of this content, do let us know, because we can create stuff specifically for an audience that is in need. This is an animation that I think it was just very, very nicely done and in a quite a rough way.
Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. It doesn't mean it shouldn't be taken seriously. It's easy to feel as if you're alone. You hide things away. You don't let people know really. Nobody would understand what you're going through. The thing with mental health is, it's important to identify that you've got a problem and openly talk about it. It's not so easy to just suddenly stick your hand up and say, I want to get off this treadmill, I can't cope with it anymore. I suppose it's difficult to ask for help because you don't think you should feel like this and you can't see the way forward. I don't look ill, so I must be okay. But I feel as though talking to someone was the most important first step. It made me realise that I wasn't alone. and there's always someone you can talk to. I don't feel mental health is something to be ashamed of.
So, yeah, there's a lesson there, right? And I think for someone who knows and has suffered from my own mental health issues, and we've all sort of admitted that we know other people that have, really encouraging people to talk and taking the stigma out of it is incredibly important. And Emily, I just thought that was a really beautiful piece of animation that she put together. So when this is over as well, but it doesn't have to be when this is over, you could, if you're into something like yoga, or I don't know, it could be anything really, you do something like, say, a ritual of some sort, then you could create an online session with some of your friends and get them to do something like yoga. But this was a project that was done in the States, and it was encouraging guys to do yoga. Again, incredibly powerful as an event. This was a piece of editorial design from Singapore that was all about mental health and well-being. So I guess what I want to ask you is, like, having listened to this, is, there are actions that you can do if you or someone else around you is struggling right now, and creativity is a really good way to enhance and change what we're doing, whether it be actions that you take on a personal level by creating some structure or rituals in your life, or it could be a project that you build that you feel really strongly enough. And Louise sent me this actually yesterday, and I've heard this over and over again, and it's something that you could ask yourself, like, who do you want to be as an individual during this lockdown, during this moment of isolation? Do you want to sit in the fear zone, which many people are? They're watching way too much, news and media, and it's just awful. It's creating a horrible environment of fear and panic. Or would you rather go into sort of a learning zone? Or clearly, I would hope that you're doing that because you've bothered to be on this call and you're interested in learning new things and new ideas. So that could be a really great place to sit, but also move that into a growth zone. So where you've learned something new, then how do you take those actions to create something that's going to be really positive, not just for you, but for your community? So you might come up with ideas right now in isolation and you can create assets and creative things, ideas that you can then build as soon as we come out of it. And you can be way ahead of the game, and you can create something in your community that as soon as people come out of isolation, you encourage them not to panic, buy and overconsume and go back to old ways of being. That you could illustrate to people how there's been some brilliant learnings in this around how we behave. Like, should we go shopping and buy stuff from Primark every week? Or should we go, no, we don't need that. We can sit at home and we can fix things and mend things or cook differently, or, there's so many opportunities right now. And I actually think it's a really exciting time if we choose to step out of that awful media-driven fear and into the learning zone and then into the growth zone. I like to kind of finish my chatting bit around what do you want? What do you guys need from us as a community, as an organisation, as a charity? What do you want us to do? We can talk about creativity in all sorts of areas, from the climate crisis to consumption to disciplines, from graphics to advertising to architecture to anything. So if there are things that you want us to talk about, please let us know. We are here and we are offering this service, especially in this time of crisis. Get involved, and thank you so much. Again, thanks for turfing up, thanks for being in the room, thanks for taking action, and we really do, all our community really appreciate you bothering to show up today. Yeah, be well.